started in 2015, but before we actually did another startup with Ray, which was about payment processing for merchants. Like, hey, you're on the streets, you're selling some donut or I don't know, anything, right? And we gave them a POS, a payments terminal to accept Bitcoin payments. And Ray was really trying to do that, was hitting the streets and giving that POS terminal to the food trucks, like, hey, here's a brand new revenue stream from the Bitcoin customers. And this food truck owners were like, I don't know, what is it, Bitcoin, 2015, no, even 14. And we didn't get any traction because we solved a problem that did not exist, that people did not have Bitcoin. Not enough people had Bitcoin. And the second problem was that they simply don't use Bitcoin for real life payments, right? The Bitcoin is meant for online payments. So we started to explore the first problem, how people can get Bitcoin easily. And there are three options. An exchange, so you deposit money to exchange's bank account, you get their credited, and then you buy Bitcoin. It takes 3 days, right? A lot. 3 days because you need to process the bank payment. Then the second option is the brokerage, right? There's a connection with online wallet. You can buy with M-Pesa or something, but again, it takes time. But then there's a peer-to-peer option where there's a marketplace, like Airbnb and Uber. We connect the buyer and seller who want to exchange value between each other. And if there's somebody who's selling Bitcoin for, let's say, M-Pesa or PayPal or your local bank, there's somebody who wants to buy it. So we connect these people by giving the secure escrow. So all the trades are safe. And that's how we got our traction. That's how people came to us over competitors, and they still love us. Another main reason why we came to existence is that we listen to our users. We listen to our community, what they want, and the word started to spread, like, hey, there's this cool place where actually the marketplace is being built by what we tell them. So we don't have ideas ourselves. We just listen to our community, what they want, and what they're asking for, we're building that for them. And you can see that from our blog posts about our newsletter. We always we always listen to our community, but we're going to talk more about this.
Yeah, just a little insight. So Artur made a great point here, and this is really important for all you entrepreneurs out there. You have a great idea, you try to make it work. It doesn't get traction. Why? Because it was a great idea in your mind. It wasn't connected to the street. It wasn't solving a problem that existed, like Artur said. So when that happens, that's when entrepreneurs have to stop and say, okay, let me listen to real people. Let me get some intel straight from the street here so I can build something that people actually need. And that's how Paxful came into being officially, but it goes deeper than that. If I had to say spiritually when Paxful came into being, there's 2 points, right? It was that first phone call I got by this American lady, and this was at a point where me and Artur were actually homeless in New York City here. We went through our first startup, we went through our entire savings, we had nothing left, we had to surf couches, and we were sitting at 3 o'clock in the morning in a WeWork that we were allowed to crash at, and I got this call from an American lady. She was down to her last $13, and she needed this, she called it Bitcoin. She didn't even know how to pronounce Bitcoin. And she didn't have a bank account. This was an American white lady that did not have a bank account and did not want one. And everyone was ignoring her. All the crypto companies at the time, they were all talking about mass adoption. We're ready for mass adoption. Well, when the normal person came to them, what did they do? They hung up their phones. They didn't want to deal with them. She only wanted a few dollars worth of Bitcoin. They weren't going to make any money on that. They had to sit there and teach this person how to use Bitcoin. And this person didn't have a bank account. We listened to that person. I stayed on the phone with that lady for 2 hours and guided her through every step of the way. And we used gift cards as a way to get the unbanked into Bitcoin. So that is what got us our start. But our true beginning didn't happen until the African people discovered Paxful, because we built an open marketplace. We didn't really understand what it was good for besides getting me and Artur off the street. We were selling gift cards on there, selling Bitcoin on there for gift cards, and it helped us, get an apartment, and that was great. But it was the African people that took this open system that we created, and they showed us a whole new set of use cases for it. So I have to credit the African people, especially the Nigerian people and their legendary business acumen for showing us what the true killer app of Bitcoin was. And if I had to say when Paxful really began, I'd say it's when the African people discovered us and started teaching us what we're really here to do.
We have 3 values in our company, which is, first one is the most important, stay connected to the streets. It means that whatever your job is at Paxful or me, Ray, you always need to talk to the streets, and streets for us is your customers. That's the value number 1. Value number 2, build for the people. So it's a good example from Ray that our first startup, we didn't really listen to the people. So we just built it, the merchant payment processing, but the problem was not there. So we got to listen to our community, what they want. And basically, we don't get ideas ourselves, right? They don't come from, I don't know, from our heads. They come from our community, like from our actual users of Paxful. And we have so many features, new ideas that we got to implement. And they're just waiting for that. And, they're getting out every month. And the community is so happy, like super happy. So that's number 2. Remember to always build for people. And 3 is be a hero. It's kind of broad and everybody understands it differently, but hey, we are all heroes here because we are giving people financial inclusion, in around the world. We are really saving the world. We are building schools, and people want to be part of that mission and part of that vision. So being a hero is something we value at Paxful. Like, hey, we need to fix something on the website. We just go and fix it, at midnight. So that means that's a heroic stuff that we value here, because competitors are not sleeping. They're operating the same way. That's a brand new space, and this is the future. So, we are competing for having the best product, the best services, the best features we're offering for our community. That's what we are competing with others, and we're gonna be number 1. We are already number 1 in certain continents like Africa, but everywhere else, we're also going to be number 1.
God willing. So this is a lesson for all entrepreneurs here. The values that Artur told you, they didn't come from out of nowhere. They came from our journeys. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I failed 11 times in a row. Product is 2 things. It's designing great things, and it's also sales. Right? Those 2 things combined create product, because then you understand how to bring things to human beings in a way that human beings can use. There are very few product people in crypto, and that's why crypto hasn't caught on. It's almost a dirty word. There's super smart guys here in crypto, way smarter than we are. But we are ahead. Why? Because we listen to our people and we're building for people. This game, peer-to-peer, is all about human beings.
We're using KYC service to validate if the ID is legitimate and so on. So we see that some African countries, they have this voters cards, which are unfortunately not accepted by our KYC providers. So we are missing out of like 20% of population who want financial services. And for me personally, it's the most painful thing in product when a person is trying to do something like give his identity, but our product is not allowing him that because it's buggy or whatever, but a person is trying to do that. That thing, it keeps me up at night. And luckily we have amazing team, amazing compliance and KYC team who are working on constant improvements, like how do we make more types of IDs accepted by people, how do we make this proof of address, right? That's completely new. Another story about the proof of address that again, like in the Western world, like US and Europe, every house has its number, there's some order of these houses, you have your utility bills and so on, but in some countries where, the proof of address is not this way, we still gotta ask proof of address of people, and what do? We have really big ideas and visions, like we would be sending people with the GPS device and and tagging someone's person house, home, location to the GPS device and send it to us, and that's the proof of address where he is living. But that's the plan of our 5-year plan, and this is something, having the Pax ID, giving people identity, also on Paxful. That's our long-term plan, but that's how we're thinking. We're super forward, future thinking that we know there are problems, and when there are problems, it's good. We can solve them. We can solve them either quickly. We always have to find short-term solutions. Hey, how to make this more easier. For example, we had a lot of people submitting this voter ID cards, and the pass-through verification in KYC was 30%. And once our team just added a simple a pop-up hey, do not submit the voter ID card. Submit only your national ID or driving license. Then you will get through. Then you will get your verification. And instead of 20% of the pass-through, we increased it to the 60% simply by educating, because people don't know what is this online verification. Submit my ID. It's a voter's card. That's it. No, it's it has to be some real ID which has secure elements and so on. That's what we are accepting.
Yeah.
But again, we're moving towards the future. We are using more and more KYC services which are going to allow us to accept more people, onboard more people from every region of the world.
Yeah. So let me just clarify a few more things. Everything Artur said is absolutely true, and the reason with the KYC is such a big deal and we're talking about it is because KYC keeps people honest. People are a lot less likely to scam if they're KYC'd, and if we know someone's KYC'd, then that new trader, we could put them at the top, or we can make a tab saying, hey, new traders, support them. We have to keep the marketplace safe, because an open and fluid working money system is great, but if it's not safe, who's going to use it? The Paxful Marketplace brings opportunity to people, and that's what makes it so attractive. That's what makes it so beautiful, more than just a wallet, right? So we have to keep that marketplace safe, and we have to keep it balanced. KYC is one of the ways to do that, but like Artur was saying, KYC is still in its infancy. Most KYC providers, they have no idea that there's 5 different kinds of national ID in Nigeria. They have no idea that proof of address doesn't work in Kenya. So, and in Bitcoin, people hear KYC and they freak out. There's all these privacy and anonymous, security freaks, right? They don't want to be seen, they don't want to be known. Paxful is not for those people. It's not for the visible people that want to be invisible. It's for the invisible people that want to be visible, that want an identity. And we tell people this all the time, just like Artur was saying. Africans want to KYC. In Nigeria, you have to do a biometric fingerprint scan just to get a SIM card. So we have to make this process work, because if we're going to bring true financial service to the world, obviously identity is the foundation of that. You're not going to go to the bank and open up a bank account and they're not going to ask who you are, right? This is very important. So we're solving foundational challenges that no one has solved before or tried to even solve. Not the United Nations, not the local governments, not Coinbase, PayPal, Binance, none of them. Only we're doing that, and we're doing whatever we have to do, even if it means we have to build a whole new KYC system ourselves from the ground up, which is like a whole other company in itself. We're gonna do that, and we've been doing that. We're doing that for you guys because there's no other way to make this happen, guys, and we're doing it.
That we are not here about speculation like the exchanges. Hey, we had a lot of coins, right? 400 coins, so we can speculate between them. This is not our mission. This is not our values. We're adding other coins if they have a real life use cases. So far, it was only Bitcoin because it's first mover. It had the biggest. It still has the biggest market cap. It has the most integrations with other exchanges. But here's what we see. People want actually stable accounts. They want stable US dollar accounts. Mm-hmm. And now in 2020, they're stable coins. So USDT, Paxcoin, all that. And we are adding actually number one stable coin to our wallet. You can hedge your BTC against stable coin. Eventually, you can trade on Marketplace a stable coin as well, and you can send it to others. So this will be there. Also Ethereum, it's also upcoming because you can use Ethereum for your real life use cases like, for dApps, for ICOs, there's still legitimate ICOs that you can participate. And so there's a real use case for Ethereum. And then any other coins, if we see there's a demand, not just for speculation, like when you can make a quick bucks or lose big time, this is not what we do. If there's a real use case for like other coins, we can add it as well. So stay tuned. This is part of our summer. We are working here hard, and it's gonna be there out soon. And you'll be really happy when you see that.
So I see a very, very bright future for Africa. So Artur and I have hatched this plan. We call it Pax Africana. It's our 5 to 20-year plan for Africa. We believe, we know that Africa can actually kick off a golden age, not just in Africa, but in the world. So before I talk about that, I just want everyone to understand there's the problems in Africa, and Africans are watching. You guys know the problem. But let's make an analogy. Let's make a comparison. Imagine if the United States, if it was nearly impossible to send money from one state to the state right next door, from Florida to Georgia, from California to New York. Imagine if it was a nightmare just to send money. How advanced do you think the United States would be? The United States would be nowhere. It would be nothing. It would be a shell of what it is. But yet this is the system that Africans have had to endure for the past, 100 years? And it gets even worse. 14 African countries are under the African franc, which is about as African as the Federal Reserve is federal. It's a total scam. The money is printed in Paris and actually sold. The Africans have to pay for their own money to be given to them. This is basically colonialism. This is basically neo-slavery. And hardly anyone knows about it. These are the problems that Africa is facing. Considering these problems, it's amazing that Africa is as far along as it is. So what happens if we fix these problems? What could happen? I know what could happen. We could have a golden age in Africa. Africa will become a superpower. Within 20 years, Africa will have 2 billion people. So many of them are young people. Imagine if we take 1 billion young, hungry, ambitious entrepreneurs and put them on the world map, give them access to every financial network in the world using peer-to-peer and Bitcoin. What will happen? It's a pretty simple answer to me, and we're starting to see it right now. Africa's leading in Bitcoin searches. Africa's leading in peer-to-peer trading volume. Africa is just getting started, guys. The future is very bright. We have to focus on education. We have to focus on building. And most importantly, Paxful, we need talent. We need talent. We need builders to put all this together. And in particular, I'm talking to you guys, the African community. We need you. We need the best and brightest, and we are ready for you. We'll be opening up offices all over Africa soon, God willing. I should have been there already, but the future is very bright, guys. And just keep one thing in your minds as all this happens. Just remember this. Never ever think of yourself as third world. You are first world. All these other clowns running around the West playing games with fake money, they're third world or less. Just keep that in mind. Always believe that. You guys are the innovators. You guys are the leaders, and your time is now.
Oh yeah, it's the China generation. That is the all hope is about, and we are on the right path for that.
The truth about this world right now, we see it all the time. Countries get preyed upon by very, very rich men, and their goal is to just create war. And the way you create war, no human beings are good. We don't want to go to war. We don't want to kill each other. These guys, these bad guys, they create war by printing into endless amounts of money, because the money system is not honest. Bitcoin gives us the chance to have a peaceful world, because with an honest money system, war becomes very, very difficult. So ultimately, that's the goal. We want to bring peace to the world, and honest money is the best way to do that.
Well said, yeah. In 2017, when this rally was, I put in some coins, some Bitcoin, and I purchased some promising coins, which were really promising. I know, I can name you. EOS, IOTA, Cardano, right? NEO, super promising, blockchain 3.0 or blockchain 2.0, but what happened now? They're like down 80%, so. I'm Bitcoin maximalist. That's what it is. I don't want to research of this future potential coins, right? The next Ethereum or the next Bitcoin. I'm sure there will be, and I'm sure I will miss some opportunities, but my mind is not there. My brain is not thinking about that. My brain is thinking about solving real problems that people have in the world with Bitcoin, with cryptocurrency that already is now, not something, what is the future coin will go up in value.
Yeah, this is a big point. People always ask us, why don't you guys support all these other coins on Paxful? You would make a lot of money, which is true, but we talk with people all the time, and people come to us and they just heard about Bitcoin. Imagine someone coming to you, they just heard about Bitcoin. You say, hey, wait a minute, there's 67,000 other tokens you can invest in. That's not wise. That destroys momentum, that confuses people, it doesn't make sense. If I were to tell you to look at cryptocurrencies right now, there will only be two, Bitcoin and USDT, meaning a stable coin, right? You can use those for real business. Everything else is basically just speculation. And nearly every trade I've made on that front, I've lost on.
Yeah,
it's true. I'm not some great investor that knows, how to speculate. Paxful is not like Binance. We're not a casino, right? We don't do that. We focus on real use cases, unlike these other exchanges. And that's what you should focus on as well. And I say that from the heart. If someone makes a great investment, then altcoin and gets rich, okay, I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. I wish I was smart as you. But that's not most of us, guys. So stay away from that. There's a reason why speculation is forbidden in nearly every religion in the world. Because it's toxic, and even if you win in the short term, you're going to lose in the long term. That's from the heart. You guys are awesome. You taught us everything that we know. We're very thankful to you guys. We wouldn't be here without the African people, and we'll always champion Africa and the African people, not just because I'm African and Africa has been so good to us, but because in my opinion, Africa is the next America. I've been calling Nigeria the next America for a reason. We look at the world right now, we see civil liberties being eroded, and everyone's wondering, where is the next promised land? Where is the next place of opportunity? It's Africa, guys. It's where you are right now. I mark my words, 20 years from now, maybe even less, all these white folks are going to be looking at you with envy. Let's remember that the black man's legacy has always been wealth and riches. I'm from Egypt, right? Half my family was from the north, half my family was the south. Black as the night, Sudanese, right? They were the richest people in the world at one time. Africa had the greatest libraries in the world at one time. What happened? We all know what happened, right? A wave of darkness descended on Africa and hasn't let go since. And that's the truth. And every African leader that rises up gets clipped, thrown under the bus, thrown in jail, killed. That's the truth. That's what's been happening all this time. It's not an accident that Africa is where it is. They can't stop peer-to-peer though, because they might be able to cut the head off one, but they cannot stop an army of mosquitoes, right? They can't stop that. Believe me, I don't want to die like Malcolm X and Gaddafi. As much as I love the mission, I want to stay alive. And we can do this together, guys. Together, peer-to-peer is the way. Africa is built on peer-to-peer. People ask me, why did Paxful take such hold in Africa? Why is Africans embracing peer-to-peer? And I say because Africans have been doing peer-to-peer before anyone else, before Napster, before Paxful, before Craigslist, before Airbnb, before Uber. The African people, the African way of doing business has always been about people. And the African people, if you think about Paxful and Bitcoin, it's almost like Hawala 2.0. The Africans know that very well, and they've been leading and innovating there. The African money systems like Isusu, Stockfell, Chama in Kenya, these are working financial instruments that have powered the continent for thousands of years. And all that Bitcoin is we're just taking that and adding a layer of technology to it. So this is nothing new for Africa, what we're talking about. You guys started this. Now we're just bringing another component into it and allowing it to scale. So the future is ours. We don't have to ask anyone for permission anymore to do what we want. We don't have to ask our leaders who all have their bank accounts in Paris to be able to do business. We don't need their permission. This is the magic of it all. As an entrepreneur, the hardest thing is, wait a minute, do I have to ask someone for permission to build this thing? No, you can just do it. That's why the dot-com boom happened. That's why we have the internet. And that's what Bitcoin is going to give us now. Embrace that. There is no need to ask for permission. Now we can just do. All you have to do is educate and jump in, guys. If you're young and you're listening to this, burn the boats, guys. Go straight into cryptocurrency, learn about it, read about it. It's not just about throwing your life savings into that. No, learn how to use it, how to build a real business. I promise you it'll be the best decision you've ever made in your life. And we're proof of that right here.
Exactly. All what Ray said, and besides that, we're all here, one big family, one big community who's using Paxful. Really remember to respect your peers, your trading partners, your friends, everybody, and only this way will make this truly the new financial network safe, reliable, easy to use, by doing more good to each other, right? By bringing peace to the world. So remember to stay humble, to be friendly with everybody, and help others. That's what it is about. And teach them about Bitcoin, teach them about crypto, about you tell them the stories like of your friends or of yourself, your success story, like how you're saving on fees, how you're saving on time, or anything else, like, hey, how is crypto helping you your day-to-day life? Tell that more, because 95% of population, they heard about that, but they don't know, like, hey, how am I gonna use that in my day-to-day life? I'm good, right? It's like back then, like, hey, I don't need an email, I can mail the actual letter in the mailbox. But then when you show them this new thing, you bring it on the plate, people get like, wow, that's the future, and that really works. That's what it is.
Absolutely. I don't know if I should say this, guys, but this is not really having to do with Paxful or even with Bitcoin, but just in general, I just want to share something personal with you guys. So, I am African. I was born in Africa, but I grew up in America, so I'm African American. I have a lot of African American friends. I grew up with them. And I saw a lot of bad stuff happen. There is a lot of racism in the United States. It's extreme. And one of my biggest frustrations is that you really couldn't do much about it. And now we're in a state in the world where you see all this chaos happening. And all the young people, it's like, especially African Americans, it's like something is pushing them to get out in the street and just, react to situations. And that's the worst thing that can be done, is just to react to these fat old men who are sitting there playing games with money. Don't watch the media. Do not react to what they ask us to do. That's not how we're going to win. You can never win by being reactionary. You must be centered, and you must focus on yourself and your community. Let's remember Malcolm X, who's one of the greatest men that ever lived, and what he said. He said, hey, he wasn't about violence. He wasn't about causing a ruckus or acting disorderly or reacting. No, he said, hey, stop and focus on your communities. Look at your corner store. Who owns your corner store? Is it one of your people? If it's not, then you start a shop right across the street and get all your people to support that shop. Build up your business, create wealth, create influence, and you will have power back in your community. And if you want examples to study, let's take a quote from Muhammad Ali, another one of my heroes. He gave a great example. He said, hey, if you want to learn, you follow the models that work. Look at Jewish people in America. Miami Beach, there used to be a sign on it in the 30s, no dogs and no Jewish people. What did they do? They got together as a group, orderly, started buying businesses, building businesses, basically took over Miami Beach, built it up and turned it beautiful, and then they had influence in their communities, and then they weren't discriminated against. Why? Because they took control of the means of production. They took control of their own communities, and we can do that too. And that's the message I would always try to tell my African American brothers and sisters, but there's so much there that is pressing on them down, and it's so hard to change. But you guys in Africa, we have the opportunity to operate there without any of that interference or just confusion. We have the opportunity to truly build in Africa, and Africa can shock the world. So I don't know if I should have said that, but that's from the heart, guys. I really know that we can do this together as a people. We understand each other, and we're together. We're brothers, we're sisters, we're believers. We can make this happen. This is real. Thank you, guys. I know that was long.